Welcome to Boiling Point, the podcast to motivate ever-evolving entrepreneurs and forward-thinking movement pioneers. Our hosts, filmmaker Greg Hemmings and executive coach Dave Vale, are turning up the heat in the world's business communities. Our interviews with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and movement makers are raising the temperature of inspiration. Live from the hottest studio in this quadrant of the universe, here are Dave and Greg.
Dave, how are you, man?
Very well. I think this might be one of your favorite all-time topics, today's topic.
Oh, yes, certainly. I must say, Dave, you are a St. Johner through and through. You weren't born here. You were you were a newcomer or a CFA, a come from away.
A CFA, yeah.
You came from the Great White North of Canada, up on the Yukon, and you are not alone. There are so many people that have found St. John, our little city with the Boiling Point. It's the world headquarters of the Boiling Point podcast. Some people have found this place, people from all over the world, as you have witnessed. And it's interesting, last week talking to Sean Nicole, but when I was younger, we were quite a bit of a monoculture. Like, it was a very white city. And then the University of New Brunswick, I don't know, probably say 25 years ago, started to put a really good effort into bringing students from around the world. And that just brought this new energy and vibrancy to the city. And today it's just such a diverse and, you know, just an incredible city for all people. The last conversation we had with Sean Nicole about Black Lives Matter just goes to show, like, there's a thirst and a hunger for the city, for all communities to figure out how to continue the city as being an inclusive place to be and a safe place to be. And that's what our two guests are here to speak about. As the city is in transition to becoming even more strong.
Before we bring our guests in, I do want to comment on that, because I've been here for 20 years. And I've seen such an incredible change in 20 years. Like, I arrived from Vancouver, living in Vancouver, which is, very diverse. And just to give you an example of just the food that I could get when I arrived, I was asking my friends, where can we go for sushi? They're like, well, we don't have sushi. I couldn't, it was hard to find espresso. Right?
Where sushi is in the corner. You know
what I mean? Like, I could find a pint anywhere, and I could find, fish and chips, but it was just hard to find, any, like, there wasn't a lot of variety. And when I compare it to now, I'm just seeing such an incredible change that, I'm partly feel very proud of being connected with this community in seeing the change and wanting to see more of it. Right. So I just wanted to share that perspective, because it was jarring for me initially coming here let's even talk about food, let alone the diversity, the rest of the diversity that you'd kind of come to expect in a Canadian city.
And things have changed, and we've got a few people who focus on this on a daily basis. So I would love to bring in my dear friend Jennifer Waldshutz and my brand new dear friend Lina Gharbiya. And I'm sorry if I did a bad job on your last name.
No, it was cool. Yeah.
Lina,
you're never wrong.
Lina and Jennifer, welcome to the Boiling Point.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jennifer, do you want to set context first before we go into getting to know a little bit about how you two show up in our city to make it a stronger, more diverse, inclusive, and incredible place to live?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having us on the Boiling Point. We are active fans, if you will, that listen in on the podcast all the time. So it's cool to be a guest for sure. Dave, I definitely want to say thank you for choosing to live in St. John, New Brunswick. Both Lina and I are from other countries. So in my family, we are from Zimbabwe, Africa, came to Canada in 1980. So we also chose to live here. And Lina is from Palestine and chose to come here, as Greg referenced about the university. She came to UNB St. John. And in my previous job, I think it's pretty common knowledge that I was an international recruiter, recruiting students for 10 years for both UNB Fredericton and UNB St. John. And the number of students that have successfully gone through and chosen to stay, and specifically in St. John, you know, a huge piece of that has been about the co-op work terms and internships that Canadian universities have students directly into the workforce during their undergraduate degree, and then that's turned into full-time job offers. And so it's just wonderful. In my job now, I am the population growth officer for the city of St. John. So it is my job to recruit people to live in St. John. And that can look like people coming from another city within the province, or interprovincial recruitment, where people are coming from different provinces and cities to move to St. John. And then, of course, the international piece, where I'm still connected with people in Africa, India, all different continents. And a huge piece of attracting people is showing them the city, showing them the citizens, which is why the amazing partnership with Hemmings House to do the video that we're going to see today, we're releasing today, or launching. This is an opportunity for people that are considering Canada in general, and then New Brunswick, and then St. John, to be able to see what the place is like. You know, it's a huge leap of faith to hear from someone like me what a wonderful, safe, welcoming place it is, but for you to make that life decision and come yourself, sight unseen, whether it's from another province or internationally, it's a decision and your life. And so we do a lot of personal interaction and preparation. And if someone is going to be coming from abroad, you know, the application process, getting the visas, it can take a whole year. We encourage people, of course, to visit before they come and all of that sort of thing. It's much easier if you're in Canada and you can either drive or fly or come and visit the city before you move. And there's some people, of course, that have family members that are encouraging them to come. And that's a whole other piece too that I can talk about. We know that 4 years ago, we opened our doors in St. John to Syrian refugees, and many families were assigned actually to come to St. John. And what we're seeing now, which is amazing, is that those families are recruiting their siblings and parents. And so, you know, one family that came 4 years ago can now have 12 or 14 people that they personally have encouraged to come. And Lina and I see that in our job every day. I'll let Lina introduce herself and tell you what she does every day.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, Greg and Dave, yeah, for having me today. That's like Jennifer said, it's awesome to be on the other side of the equation. Basically, we're in the show. That is so cool. Thank you. Yeah, like Jennifer said, I was a newcomer at some point. I arrived here to St. John in '94. I met my husband at school, at university, and he's Palestinian as well. And I don't know, I liked him. It just because many people, like usually people when they come here, they come with their spouses. So everybody assume I came here with my spouse, and I didn't. I came with my mom and dad and my two brothers. And I always say, oh no, I just came to Canada to find him. Like we arrived to Canada exactly in '93. I met him in '94, and we moved to St. John, both of us, in '94. And I lived here in St. John since then. And 4 children later, here we are, and we definitely love it. Like my oldest two, actually, they're adults now. They're 24 and 22. And they just want to live in St. John. The one who's 22, he just graduated this year from UNBSJ as well. And I tell him, like, if you want to look for a job, you can look anywhere. Like Canada is huge. Just, I want him to find a job, but no, he's insisting to find something in St. John. So I know, because sometimes, like when you talk to people, especially from Jennifer's position, where this is her job to recruit people to St. John, well, of course she's going to say that St. John is is a great city, blah, blah, blah. But it's really true. Like when I came here to St. John, there wasn't any person who would speak my language. the Arabic. It was just us. And yet I felt like it's home. The neighbors, I remember they came when we moved to the house. They came and they brought food, and they just came to say hi. And even when we were in an apartment, I remember like there were an older couple, and they always, they felt like they have to look after me. I honestly felt home. So it's really great, and I wanted to give back after. I remember I had my kids. I finished my degree, but I wanted to do more, and I volunteered a lot in the community, a lot. Eventually, some newcomers start coming, not necessarily, from the same, like from my country or my homeland, but different areas. But somehow I didn't know how I found them or they found me. I have no idea. But I actually was almost like a taxi driver for lots of newcomers for years. So for me now, where I'm working at the St. John Newcomers Centre, I'm getting paid to help people with the same thing. So why not? And I can do, of course, more. I have more say, more power to help people in a different way, for sure. And this is what we do at the St. John Newcomers Centre. We're a settlement organization. We basically, like you mentioned, Greg, at the introduction, like our values as well, like with respect, equality, inclusive, fairness. This is our values, like our mission really to improve the culture and social and economic well-being of the whole community through promotion of multiculturalism, support for the newcomers, to show how the huge value newcomers add to the city. They do it through different ways, like economical or even volunteering. I look after volunteers as well. You have no idea when, it is so sweet when newcomers, they come to me and they say, I really want to volunteer. I really want to give back. And they've just been here, like, sometimes like for just a month or two, like, but this is how they feel. Like when they come here to Canada, they feel this is home. And especially St. John and St. Johners, they have the magic to make people feel this is home and everybody's welcome. And this is where everybody want to stay. And you find them really desperate to find a job as much as, as fast as they can, because this is, to them, this is where they want to stay.
It's such a good news to hear, and so interesting that that you came to this community so long ago and have experienced such a transition. We'll get more into that, but I think we should watch this video that we did. And Jen, why don't you tee it up and also acknowledge that we shot this before the pandemic.
Yes.
But,
I don't want people to be nervous when they see the shots of the crowds and things like that. It was definitely pre-COVID. And the idea is that this video, as I said earlier, is for people to see the landscape of the city, see the citizens, have a real sense of the vibe and the feel of St. John through the video. I will be using this video when I'm back on the road doing recruitment trips, but it's also something that I can send to people that are considering St. John. And if I'm not available and the mayor's traveling, he can use it himself. So it sort of stands on its own. And, when people are considering moving, whether they have their visa or they're about to get the visa, I think that this video can sort of confirm to someone that they're making the right choice or help them to really realize the place that they're choosing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it for the first time with everyone.
All right. Well, hey, why don't we press play? Do you guys have a full black screen?
Yep.
Yes.
There we go.
Here it is.
St. John is.
St. John is.
St. John is. St. John is.
The right place to be, you just found it.
St. John, c'est l'éducation. St. John is education.
Now we just lounging. The right place to be, you just found it. Now we just lounging.
St. John है सुरक्षा. St. John is safety.
The right place to be, the right place to be, a right place to be, a right place to be.
St. John هي الرعاية الصحية. St. John is healthcare.
Now we just lounging. The right place to be, you just found it. But now
圣约翰是多样性、多元化。St. John is diversity.
lounging, the right place to be, you just found it. A right place to be, a right place to be.
سين جون هي نشاطات للجميع. سين جون is activities for all.
But now we just lounging in the right place to be, 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 the right place to be.
St. John is arte y cultura. St. John is arts and culture.
You just found it. But now we just lounging, the right place to be, you just found it.
センジョンは自然へのアクセスが便利です。センジョン is access to nature.
The right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John este o oportunitate. St. John is an opportunity.
But now we just lounging, the right place to be, you just found it. But now we just lounging, the right place to be, you just found it.
St. John is lifestyle.
Lounging, the right place to be, you just found it. The right place to be.
St. John is friendly people.
The right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John dear, traffic jam bien niha. St. John is no traffic jam.
Now we just lounging in the right place to be, the right place to be.
St. John is newcomer support.
St. John
is home.
You just found it. But now we just lounging in the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place to be, the right place.
Woohoo!
Wow, looks great. So the really cool thing to notice is that everyone in that video, including Lina, who's in it, you probably saw her go by, lives here and are part of the community and are living, working, studying here. There's no one there that's an extra or a hired person, actor to be in that video. And everybody's speaking from the heart, and it's very natural and genuine, which is so exciting. And all the little pieces of the city, you know, we're trying to show the port and the different business sectors and all the activities and the beautiful access to the water and all of the things. So I think your team did a beautiful job, Greg. We love it.
Jennifer, really, it's those voices and so many different voices and languages. So good. And Dave, my favorite St. John is the no traffic jams.
I appreciate that.
That video. What spoke to you?
To me? Yeah. Oh, well, actually, the fireworks in the harbor, and there's a really beautiful shot. And part of why it speaks to me because I arrived on July 2nd, 2000. It was in the evening, and the plane was banking around from Montreal, and these fireworks started popping up on July 2nd. And I thought they're welcoming me for sure. And I just thought this is a place I should be.
We should do that for every newcomer that flies in.
I'm telling you, it was profound. There's a longer story that I won't bore you with, but what happened was July 1st, because it didn't say St. John is fog, but we have this beautiful fog that rolls in that helps our skin and all those things. July 1st was too foggy, so July 2nd they had the fireworks. So anyways, that's what really stuck out at me in 2000. Yeah. So that's how I know when I arrived.
Thanks for the clarification, Dave. Yeah, because we don't want newcomers to think that every newcomer comes, we're going to have fireworks.
Well, you know what? We could do that. We could build in the budget, I'm sure. Let's talk to.
There we go. Let's do fundraising.
And also put root beer in all the fountains.
Yeah.
What's great about the video is like we know everybody and everybody knows everybody, and we're just like one big family. Really, it's really awesome.
Lina,
I'm just going to say one thing. I actually thought it was interesting what you said. Jennifer said earlier about people would expect that I'm going to promote the city. Like Greg, you're on here as a native St. Johner with three of us who've come from different part. For me, a different part of the country and different parts of the world. I've always felt like it's easier to promote the place that you're at because we've chosen to be here. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we can we can talk about it very passionately about these things because we have lived in all these different places and have made this a decision to be here. So I just wanted to share that, because sometimes it's harder when you're from here to say, you know, this is such a great place, but when you come from somewhere else and choose to be here and stay, and Lina, you were mentioning 4 kids, we've got 3 children, and this is our place, and so I feel like I can be very proud and loud about it because it's our choice.
And when you do travel and leave and go to other cities and provinces or different countries of the world, it also helps you to appreciate the city and the things like the no traffic, or people always speak to you and say hello on the street or in an elevator. And, when you go to a big city, that's not necessarily happening, and you really notice it. And so you come back and you see the city in a different lens. I certainly used to feel like that in my previous job. And it was, I'd be in big cities and big places and be in the elevator. And when people would get in the elevator, I would greet them. Hello, good morning. And people would look at me and be like, why is this girl talking to me? And it's a St. John thing. And the kids, the students that I was recruiting for the 2 campuses for UNB, they would say that to me, after being here for a few weeks. They'd say, everyone greets me. Everyone says hello to me on the street or in the elevator. And, now I feel I must say hello back and, hold the door. And I say, yes, this is the culture here. And that's how people are.
Jennifer, that is such a true thing. Like, and I guess Lina's experience too, but that was my experience, because in fact, my friends that I had met here said, Dave, you got to start saying hi to people. But it was just so weird for me, because I was like, coming from Vancouver, it wasn't like a cold city, but no one did that. But that is such a real thing that you have to experience it to actually really believe it, I think.
Absolutely. The other thing I wanted to just touch on was about, we were saying about people staying, and, obviously a huge piece of my job is about retention. As we mentioned, it's easy to talk about this city, and it's easy to talk about Canada, and it is a glorious place to live. We all know, and, all of the wonderful amenities and freedoms and safety and things that we have to offer. The challenge is getting people to stay here. And that's another reason why the people used in this video, or the people that participated in this video, I should say, are all people who have chosen to stay past what their expected time was, whether it was to study or to work here for a year or whatever it was. And they all sort of got bitten by the St. John bug of wanting to stay and being part of the community and feeling like they don't want to move again. Several of us have moved from different countries and places many times. And a lot of the conversations Lina and I have is, this is the last move. This is the last place. You've gotten to where you want to be. St. John is the place to be. And so in my job, I help people to find jobs, to make sure that people are finding a well-paying, good job in St. John. And we have a whole team of people, Just J and Working New Brunswick, and all sorts of people who work together to help people find a good job and refer people. And a huge piece of Lina and I asking people to volunteer all the time is that we can give people a reference. And when someone volunteers, they're again spreading their web, meeting more people, meeting people that are employers or CEOs of companies and businesses that are like, oh, wow, I didn't know you lived in St. John. Oh, you're looking for a job? I have a job. And all those little conversations, because as we know, oftentimes finding a job is the networking and the meeting people, or over dinner, someone says they need to hire someone and someone else says, well, I know a person who just moved here, and all of that interconnectedness. So it's interesting how people can find their way and become part of the community so well.
Lina, what are some of the things that you've seen in the last 20 some odd years for changes? Like I know you felt it was very welcoming when you first got here, but you've really lived. You've been here longer than Dave has.
Yes, I sure have. Yeah, like changes in the city, you mean?
Just like if you were a newcomer today coming in,
yeah.
What differences have you seen that are really special?
Honestly, the big difference for me is something, and I'm serious, I'm not just saying that because I'm working at the Newcomers Centre, but having a center for newcomers to go to. I didn't have that when I came. That was almost 26 years ago. I had to search for things on my own. I had to find my, like, even as simple as volunteering. Like, even if I want to volunteer, like, I had to look for this. I had no help. Like, right now, when I see the newcomers come and the things we do for them, like Jennifer said, we help with the employment. We work as well with lots of other organizations. We connect them with the partners. To know there is someone who does something, it's priceless to know it. Priceless to know it at the same exact time that you need it, not, you know, a year later. This is what I went through. I didn't know there is support for, even when I get pregnant. I didn't know there was support, and I can go. There's groups, and I didn't know. And it sounds, you know, simple, and it maybe sounds like just unimportant, but it was to me at that point. With different stages that I went through, whether at university or then having children and different, you know, ages, you know, the stage of our lives. So what we do at the center, like connecting these newcomers, like we sit with the newcomer face to face. What's your needs? All the services there, as simple as even the hospitals. Many people, they don't know we have 2 hospitals in St. John. So as just as simple as that, they have options, the clinics. We talk about everything you could imagine. And then when I hear their needs, I can connect them even more and more. Sometimes I dig deeper for a special need that my client has, never even come to my mind for whatever, you know, purpose. But there would be a specific need that this client has or looking for that I will ask everybody. I'll ask Jennifer, I'll ask, you know, here and there, like, you know, until you find, and you will find a resource, and you will find a solution, and you will find somewhere for this newcomer to reach out to. This is huge, Greg. It's just huge. This is part of what we do, employment, getting people ready for employment. Like Jennifer said earlier, like we had a big amount of Syrian refugees came in 2016, which is great. They're ready to work. They want to work. They want to give back to the community, but language was an issue, to Canadian culture, lots of these kind of like even work culture that you had to train them. This is what we did. We didn't just send them to build like a shed. Basically, we taught them the work culture, the language. You want to teach them every little thing, you know, about it. And it's hard for people to imagine sometimes. We take things for granted, but you have to think the way they're thinking. And every client is different. Every newcomer is different. Every person coming from different region in the world also have different goals and dreams and all that. And we at the Newcomers Centre feel this is why we're here. To fulfill these dreams, to help these people to succeed easily. They don't need to struggle, you know, until they reach somewhere. Because yes, retention is a huge thing. If like when people find a job, like even yesterday, I had a client. She said, "Lina, I don't know what is it for you. You're trying so hard to help me and my husband. Like, what is it for you?" And I'm like, honestly, I just want you to find a job. If you find a job, I'll be happy. She just couldn't believe it. Like, she doesn't like. What is it for me? Because, you know, we're a nonprofit. Of course, we're not charging people. So they cannot get that. So to feel that there is someone to reach out to, I build the connection with the newcomers, with the clients, when they have even any problems or issues, like even outside, like employment or a specific need, they come to me. And guess what? I will find them a solution, even if it's something related to like family situation, like family concern. There is always a situation that comes up, and there is always a solution. It just, you have to know where to look. Many people, they don't know there are resources here in St. John absolutely free for children under the age of 5. The kids need help, the wife needs help. If I work with the exploratory visitors as well, so we try to recruit, and Jennifer and I, we work together on this file. We try to have these investors to come to St. John because of the huge potential that we know and we see. If I'm going to start talking about that, that's another episode. So anyway, but seriously, I'm serious. So we try to, showcase St. John and give them the best that will fit their needs and their family needs, because we want them to be successful. We don't want anyone just to come to St. John just to come and live and be unsuccessful, because if they're not successful, then we honestly feel we failed them. So it really means a lot to us to work hard to see them successful. And with these investors or these people that they come through the AIPP or work permits, even if one of the spouses is working, you want the other spouse to be happy, whether it's looking to improve English language or find employment or what have you. You have to work with the whole family. You can't just concentrate on the main applicant. And sometimes, unfortunately, this is how it works and what happens, but we don't. And because we're a small city and because we're like just one, we all want to succeed. And when we all succeed, we all reach somewhere.
And a huge piece of that success is your work and your team's work, as well as Prude and the YMCA Newcomer Connection.
Yeah.
All of these settlement services work so hard to make everyone feel welcomed and settled, and all the personal needs that happen. And it can be anything from, just recently we were asked who could help someone to learn to drive and be that person in the car with them.
I'll do that. I can do volunteer.
Yeah, I'm like, in a parking lot, okay. To the YMCA, for example, the amazing service of having translators go with newcomers to the doctor. So the importance of the patient being able to tell the doctor what their symptoms are and what's wrong with them, and to clearly understand back from the doctor what the situation is and what medicine they should take and all of those sorts of things. So it's really incredible, the work that's being done. And we could absolutely talk about it for hours and hours, but I am very proud of the welcoming and service industry that is available for newcomers. And it is something special to St. John. If you're going to show up in another city, Dubai, for example, and say, oh, hi, I'm here to start a business, people sort of would look at you and say, okay, good luck, you do you and we'll do us. We're here in St. John, we say, oh, wonderful, well, there's someone else who has a similar business, let us introduce you. Maybe they could be your mentor, maybe you can make sure you don't make the mistakes they made. Here's let me help you with a market review of the city.
Actually, Jennifer, it's funny you say that. People actually want to really talk to you to tell you exactly the mistakes they did or they made, so you will avoid it, right? Like,
it's so kind. It really doesn't happen.
We're really like a one big family.
Yeah,
with everybody, like citizens or partners or everybody. We all work together beautifully, for sure.
So these are the reasons why when we talk to people about moving to St. John, that all of these things are in place for a soft landing and support. And right now, while it's the sort of the COVID times, I mean, we're still in a pandemic. We've all just gone through the first part of it, and amazingly different industries and professions are letting their employees work from home. This is something that I definitely, and a lot of us have been talking about with prospective St. Johners, that now if your employer is allowing you to work remotely, you don't have to live in another city. You could potentially live in St. John, whether your job is here or not, because now so many companies have made that possible and are understanding how productive people can be at home and with technology and all of the options. So this is really now a big selling feature for us that we talk about with prospects from around Canada, but also around the world. So it's really changing the conversation and allowing people to really, consider moving here and being here and maintaining their job that they have and not having to even change their job dependent. So that's exciting.
This is fantastic. So Jen, why don't we let the listeners and viewers know where to see the video? And then obviously the call to action is when you see the video, share the video so other people can explore more. So what's the best way to get contact? And then also I want to hear from Lina for contact as well.
Okay, for sure. So we have a website that is a part of the City of St. John website, which is www.lifeinstjohn.ca. So lifeinstjohn.ca. The video will be housed there. And there's a lot of information for someone that is considering moving to St. John. So we have various different tabs about what you need to know before you move to the city. There's a tab for jobs and employment. There's a tab for employers that wish to hire newcomers. There soon will be a tab for just lifestyle and different things that people can click onto. There will be photos, all sorts of things. So that website, www.lifeinstjohn.ca, is an important one for people to know. When we do talk about the video, I also want to just throw out a little kudos to the music. It's Matt Clifford from 3 Sheet, and he is a St. Johnner. Yeah, he is a native St. Johnner. So the whole video has people that are locally sourced, which is so wonderful. And of course, if people want to email me, life@stjohn.ca is the best way to reach me. I answer all those emails, visit, or to come and make their move. I will assist you.
Awesome. And Lina, how do newcomers reach out to you once they land or before they land?
Yeah, they can visit us at our website, SJ Newcomers, SJNEWCOMERS.ca. There are different tabs there for different services that we offer. We can serve anybody. Like, you don't have to have a permanent residency status to be served at the center for whether any language conversation classes, English, French. We can serve the Francophone community. We have lots of Francophone community here that they moved from different areas in the world. Just beautiful to see the numbers like skyrocketing. We can serve them at the center for sure. You can reach me at my email address. It's a little bit hard. It's my first last name, lina.gharbiya at sjnewcomers.ca. But the website would be best, and you'll see all the emails and contact information for all the employees. Like if you're looking for someone Francophone, for example, would be best, but I'll connect you. And we have our Facebook as well. Emily is very active on social media. She's amazing. She's making things happen for sure, and having all the services shown there. But yeah, we can serve anybody any time if you have any questions. And this is part of what I do as well. I do help international students, and I do get lots of emails and questions before they arrive, whether about childcare or simple things, even housing. So we can help. We can connect you with the right people to search and all that. So I mean, this is where I come. I do orientation sessions with UNB and BCC all the time. We do taxes for the international students and newcomers. Yeah, Jennifer loves that. Yeah, like this year we.
As well, Dave and I at Boiling Point, we need our taxes done too.
Yeah. There we go. Bring them on. I'll finish them for you. That's no problem. So we can do anything you can imagine. Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer.
I just wanted to share just hearing all the support is incredible. And that's I wasn't aware, to be honest, of all. I mean, I had some inkling, I guess, of some of it, but and so I'm just can imagine me arriving now and having access to a lot of this support is incredible. But even as I arrived, when I did, as an entrepreneur, and we haven't really talked about too much, talk about getting jobs, but as an entrepreneur starting a business, we walked into Enterprise St. John, and I was shocked at just like, oh, welcome, and you want to start a business in New Brunswick, and it was like, yeah, and and so I continue 20 years later to be an entrepreneur and have a business in this region, and I think in large part it was that support, right? So
absolutely.
But to hear all these additional services it makes it, I guess, that much easier to promote the being here, because it's not just about coming in and appreciating it. It's about how do we retain people, as you point out, and that was a big part of my retention personally. So that's a bit of my story, so I can appreciate maybe if I didn't have the language and I didn't understand the system as well and that sort of thing, how valuable those services would be.
Very nice, Dave.
Absolutely.
It exists today, as Lina said, it's a whole other podcast, but we do this special sort of business entrepreneurship visit where people are coming. When Lina referenced earlier the acronym AIPP, it's Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. There's another one which is the Provincial Nominee Program.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, it's hard. Not everybody knows what that means. So when people are wanting to start a business and coming, part of the agreement for them to get their visa to do that as a worker, as a business visa, they must visit and do, market analysis and look at everything. And there's funding available. I mean, there's so many options. It's so exciting and it can be overwhelming, which is why we have to help navigate people. And I think the big message too is that it's not just for newcomers that are coming internationally. You're a prime example, Dave, like someone coming from another province or state can come and join, and they're going to have the same similar support that someone that is coming, immigrating, can have the same experience. So
the one last thing is people will be absolutely floored, particularly if you're coming from, certain, international cities or Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal. The real estate here is you won't even believe it. Like you arrive and you go, seriously?
People lose their minds, and that's we have on a daily basis. The two big things that when in conversation with people is about how you can own and buy a house here. And when we talked about the traffic and the things, we were saying you can, again, it speaks about money, but you can work the day, you can go to dinner, you can go to the theater or go to a hockey game or whatever, and then be home within 15 minutes. Where if you lived in a big city, you do one of those things. You're either going to dinner or you're taking in the theater or you're doing the thing, and then you're in traffic for many hours. But because of the traffic and the cost of things, you can do all of it. You can do everything. And you can live in the city and drive 10 minutes to your house and then be in nature and go kayaking or do all these different things. I mean, all of that is just the lifestyle, the place, the cost. I mean, it's just so, it's exciting for people. Some people actually don't believe it's true. They're like, really? Are you sure? Is this Disney? Like,
just saying that. Yeah, I know. And even the quality of life with children. Like if you have children, you come back from home, from work, you come back home and you can actually do activities for the kids. In the big cities, it's really hard. By the time you're home, it's already 7 o'clock. Like, you can't do much. It has to be something in the weekend. Or someone has to stay home, or like there's lots of sacrifice they had to do. So I mean, here we honestly can do everything we want. The quality of life is absolutely priceless. And
we're selling a lifestyle as well.
I believe, speaking of kids, I believe I saw 2 young girls on a beach that looked very familiar, kind of look like they're have maybe a Hemmings last name. Is that true?
This could happen. The Hemmingses are doing a very good job of helping us with the population.
We can make daughters. The daughters of a future city. I love it. It's good.
Beautiful, wonderful, kind daughters.
And I should just add about the AIPP. If anyone is interested to know more about it, we do have an AIPP officer at the St. John Newcomers Centre. So when you visit our website, you will find it there. If you have any more questions. And how to connect with, because many people also, Dave, like it's great when you came here, you knew you needed to go to Enterprise St. John to help you, but many people, they don't know where to go. They and this is where we come as well. We connect them with everybody, especially exploratory visitors. When they come, this is the main thing that we connect them with.
Just a quick note, what Lina is saying about the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, it's employers that are open and available to hire newcomers. And so also if a business wants to be an Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program business, they can sign up for that as well. And so we're encouraging that if a business is considering hiring newcomers and making an easy, smooth transition, there's lots of support there.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And many are, yeah.
Lots of good resources. Now, if you're watching this, you're going to want to go over to boilingpointpodcast.com and listen to this and other incredible interviews like this. So, Lina and Jennifer, thank you so much for everything that you do for our city. And also, thank you for being on the Boiling Point, finally. This is awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you, Boiling Point.
Thanks, Dave. See you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Jennifer.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Boiling Point. Remember to rate and subscribe to us on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at Boiling Point Pod. To see more from Dave Vale, check out leadershipunleashed.ca or visioncoachinginc.com. And on Twitter at Dave_Vale. And to catch up with Greg, visit HemmingsHouse.com and at Greg Hemmings on Twitter. Thanks for listening, and remember, keep that pot boiling.